They have very good stories of how they started from scratch and built their empires to profitability. And that's the reason why Bizna Kenya and MC Moments have partnered to bring you Biz Talks. Biz Talks. And here we shall be hosting mentors, people who have gone ahead of us, people who have created these empires, people who have also on the verge of creating these particular big businesses. And these lessons will be valuable for you, the business person, for you, the aspiring business person, the entrepreneur, so that at least you can make wise decisions when it comes to building that business. So every Friday at 8 a.m. on all business platforms, that's the Facebook and YouTube channel. All right, welcome to Biz Talks, conversations that we hope will help you as a business person make better money choices and of course business choices as you do your business every day. And you know, there's a conversation that is happening. That's the reason why I'm in a suit and a tie in this country, in the city center right here at Kempinski, under the Africa Digital Finance Summit. Africa Digital Finance Summit. And the guest that I have today is actually a co-host with me, but she's amazing when it comes to all these matters, digital finance, you know, the cryptocurrencies, everything else, all those questions you have been asking to be answered. And of course, I am sitting down today as well in the learning seat to get to learn as well. So what questions do you have when it comes to all these matters, digital finance? You know, she's going to tell us stories, including the fact that at some place in Nyeri, you can actually buy Nyam Chom with Bitcoin, you know? Is this a near future? Is this what we're looking towards, or is it even the now? And are we almost late at joining it, if at all you're still questioning about them? So that's the conversation we are having today right here on Biz Talks. And yes, my guest is right here. Rosaline, welcome.
Thank you so much.
It's good to have you. As usual, normally, I would serve you a lot of scrumptious manenos with tea and all that.
Yeah.
But because you asked for warm water, that's the same thing I'll take today. So I'll serve you this.
That's all right.
It's quite hot, so I need to be very careful here.
All right.
So that at least we can have this conversation.
Thank you so much.
You know, I must say, learning about this is very key because my mind is blown up by what I've been learning since yesterday. And I hope that you can at least demystify a little bit more, especially for business people who are really watching and getting to know. And there are many people who are already in to this particular, let me call them cryptocurrencies and or digital finance. And others who are still skeptical, waiting to see. And we have seen very many things that are happening. But before then, I want to open the conversation by asking, who is Rosaline?
Yeah.
And don't say it in a small way. Just blow it up because people want to get to know you. So, who's Rosaline?
All right. So Rosaline is an economist. You can call her a digital economy advocate. Yeah. You can also call her head of marketing at Pesabase, which is a financial technology startup. It basically assists or serves people to facilitate remittances between Australia and East Africa. And really that's our service, that's our niche. So my interest in the fintech world is that you're bringing together finance and technology to make things more secure, more cost-friendly, and definitely more convenient for a lot of people around the world as you look at reducing the barriers to transacting.
All right, that's quite something.
Yeah.
And you know, now you're the, as I call you, fintech ambassador. How did you end up, you know, with this interest of matters fintech? Yeah.
Well, for me, it was a journey. It's not something that I woke up one morning and decided this is everything I am going to chase. I actually just wanted a master's in initially international relations. I didn't land with that. That interest switched because as I was doing my research and asking what will I study, then I came across some problem areas and questions in cybersecurity. And not to make it such a huge word, maybe some have heard it before, but just the problem could be that one day you open up your account to check your balance, you realize the money is missing. You did not withdraw it, you did not send it, but it's missing. And then you start asking.
A lot of that happens, by the way, sometimes to some people.
Yes, exactly. And for some people, it's unfortunate that they never get their money back, right? And why aren't we talking about that? Why aren't we making that a safe enough conversation? Why should someone feel that talking about their money missing could be their fault, you know? So we need to actually trace these steps and make this conversation very safe enough for everyone to understand. So for me, seeing that as a big problem, I felt, whoa, I need to do something about this. And in my doing something about that, I got to learn about new technologies then that would address such issues to do with safety in online spaces. Yes.
Speaking of which, you know, there was a big story going around. I think the DCI spoke out on Twitter about how people are even using dead persons, registering their lines and all that.
Yes.
Getting a whole lot of money out of their accounts.
Exactly. Now, in even to do with unclaimed financial assets, a lot of people don't know how to begin with that, and yet there's the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. You know, it's just something that general awareness is just yet to become daily conversation. Yeah, and even for people, it's good that at least twice a year, go to Safaricom and just check if your ID has been counter-registered. Sometimes that happens too.
Oh, hold on that thought, because it's important. I have never walked back to my line. I think it's about, I don't know, 10 years old plus.
Yes.
So you say every 2 years I need to just go and check, hello, am I the only person with this number?
Now, I think for maybe someone who may have okay, once upon a time, not too long ago, actually, last year, actually I saw a notification on my phone. Someone was trying to register with my ID, and I said no. So at least that one I knew. There are people who do not know. And you know, sometimes when the notification comes on your phone and you just say yes without looking. Yeah. And maybe someone is trying to register for Fuliza. What do you do when someone takes a debt that way, you know? So it's just this information. Sometimes a lot of people just don't know how important their information is. Yeah. And it comes back to that basic awareness that I need to know my phone number, my ID have not been counter-registered.
Yeah, because we need to be safe, you know. You know, there are always pros and cons that we can talk about when it comes to matters fintech. Yes. But, you know, I sort of sit down even yesterday through the sessions that we had and felt we are quite doing well, not just as Kenya, but as Africa. And a lot of conversations that I had is that, you know, matters fintech, Africa is on the lead. Yeah. And especially looking at M-Pesa and what it has done, that the big giants of the industry like Mark Zuckerberg would come to learn from us how we are doing this and all that, and how it's a success. I feel it's really good, and it puts up on the upscale. I don't know whether fintech is, would we say Africa actually is the center of fintech? What would be your comment on that?
Well, first a quick definition for someone who is hearing this fintech word for the first time.
It's better to start with the definitions. Yes, fintech. Yes. We're talking big things here.
So fintech is simply financial technology. That you're bringing in together traditional avenues of finance, whether you're talking about saving, insurance, credit, investment, micro-investment, and having these apps or these platforms accessible in a technological app or website. Now, back in the day when you wanted to, let's say, buy shares, you had to fill in some forms to get an account with the CDSC in Kenya, right? And if you generally want to buy shares, you have to wait for, give or take, 3 days for your information to be verified. Absolutely. So that you can buy either shares or bonds, right? Now, imagine having this just at the comfort of your mobile phone. Right? Yeah. And just being able to upload funds from M-Pesa and easily buy some of these bonds. And Makiba was one of the first ones that with just 3,000 shillings then, anyone could just get that and at the end of the year have their payout back. Now, this has been a learning curve, but imagine all these other applications right from the comfort of your phone. Star, something, something, hash, and you have that access. No more forms, no more long processes. Within days, then your capital can gain other means or percentages of appreciation. Yes. Because again, another aspect with investment that for long, even for me growing up, investment meant real estate.
Yeah, a lot of it is that.
Ashamba here, there.
Kashamba pale, nini.
Yes, but now for me, through my learning curve, it's that investment does not mean real estate. It actually means a share here, a bond there, another instrument here, and another instrument there.
All right, just before we go on with the definitions, because I know I really want to understand as well some definition on blockchain, as well on cryptocurrency. I just want to alert our viewers that, this is your day to ask whatever you have ever heard on matters fintech, now that you know about finance technology, matters blockchain, all these coins you've heard about, from the Bitcoins and all. So please feel free to send in whatever questions that you have. And as well as usual, any good conversation that somebody needs to know is worth sharing. So click on that share button so that at least you can have as many people get to learn. So now let's get to, now that we've started on the journey of definitions.
Yeah.
There's also this other big term, blockchain.
Yes.
People are hearing these things and are like, what are this?
And you get mentally tired.
Yes.
Because probably you've heard about it from a scam side. So let me separate.
Yes.
A blockchain by itself, just really at the basic, is a list.
Yeah.
And as a list, that's the most simplistic basic definition. You can use a list to keep your thoughts, your records, your accounts, one way or another, right?
Yeah.
But for a blockchain, it's that this list or ledger is distributed in a sense that you're not just using one central record to keep all the information.
Yeah.
You're using copies of this information in different locations.
Okay.
That is the difference.
Okay.
So for instance, when you have a newspaper, it has the same information once it's distributed, right? And you cannot change at the point that you have the newspaper, page 3,
Yeah,
because
yes.
the information was already distributed.
It's already distributed.
That's the concept.
Yeah.
So with a blockchain, that's how it works. If you try as an individual to change one singular record, it's too late.
Yes.
You have to go back to the to the source
Yes.
and try to change that. But in terms of
Absolutely.
computing resources, it is extremely expensive to even try that.
Okay.
So the mechanism by design just discourages tampering of information because it makes it extremely expensive to have to change one singular entry.
Okay.
So once it's every block of information just carries a set of transactions.
Okay.
That's why you have the block chain.
All right. I
Literally
see.
a chain of blocks that
Yes.
carry information. You try to change one block, you have to change them all. Too bad for you.
All right.
Yeah.
I feel like you have mentioned something that it would be very good for us to know.
Yeah.
Because by that you talk a lot about safety when
Yes.
it comes to finance. But before we get to the safety part of it, let's talk about also the definitive parts of the cryptocurrencies.
Yes.
We know currencies, but
Yes.
these crypto things, yeah, and we have heard about mining. I know I'm not alone on this,
Yeah.
but
Okay,
could
so
you just care enough to explain to us this?
all right. So I'll go back to this block of this chain of blocks.
Yes.
The blockchain.
Yes.
So in this chain of blocks, they are linked, right? In some way digitally. So the aspect or the mechanism that's used to connect those blocks is what you call cryptography. Now, cryptography, do not run away from that one, is just simply that you are hiding or adding a bit of protection to this information. So if I tell you AB12385, that does not make sense. It's just a random set of numbers and letters. But if I link this random set of numbers and letters to specific information with date, time, a specific value and a specific address, it has value in that sense, right?
Okay.
So on the blockchain, you will see literally those random numbers and letters, but they've been hidden through cryptography because you're not supposed to literally just tell, oh, this is transaction 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 8, 7, 8, 9, 10. Behind the scenes on the digital end, the programmers can tell that, but you as a layman cannot see that, right?
Okay.
So let me use a simple example.
Yeah.
When you're in class and you want to pass a note to your friend who is probably a desk or two away because of social distancing, and you do not want someone else to know your message, you will use a secret code, right?
Yeah, there could be a code that you've agreed on.
Exactly, and the code is just between you two.
Absolutely.
I, as a third party, will float.
Yes, if I look at it, no idea.
That is the concept of cryptography.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're using that in a digital sense
Okay.
to protect financial information.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Yeah, so where cryptocurrency is coming is that these are tokens that live on a blockchain. So a blockchain carries or can carry these cryptocurrencies.
Okay.
And these cryptocurrencies cannot necessarily live outside a blockchain. or exist outside a blockchain.
Okay.
Yes.
The nice safe place.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you now this random question.
Yeah.
Are you trying to say?
Mhm.
No, actually, no. Let me not
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
that. Let me ask something different.
Yeah.
Is cryptocurrencies the future of money in the world, or is it actually already now here existing with us? What would be your answer on that before I ask the following question?
No worries. So I do know that cryptocurrencies are here. Arguably, they could be the future.
Yes.
Why? Because when you look at currencies around the world, whether the dollar, yen, euro, shilling,
Yeah.
over time, then you realize that their value goes down.
Okay.
Why? Because of a simple thing called inflation.
Okay.
And what does inflation mean?
Yeah.
1,000 shillings now is not the same, cannot buy the same things as 1,000 shillings 3 years ago. The 1,000, maybe if you know, there's this popular meme that says, if you break 1,000, it's over.
Yeah.
No,
It's
that's
over. It's over and done.
That it's over and done that
Yes.
same day, because
Yeah.
you will pay for this, pay for that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's over.
Yeah.
You know, that's inflation for you. Now with cryptocurrencies, you are not you're not using it, you're not depending on inflation. You're actually on the reverse end limiting the currency. You cannot print more than it exists.
Okay.
Which is why, you know, when you consider why governments tend to be cautionary about cryptocurrencies, is that they can't regulate them, right?
Yeah.
It's that these digital currencies are programmed by a specific code not to be past a certain level. So for instance, Bitcoin has a cap of 21 million coins.
Okay.
There will never be any more than 21 million coins.
So it's proof
Yes.
of inflation completely.
Exactly. So instead of having unlimited supply, it's limited supply.
Wow.
Yes. So that is the one thing that, by design, so to speak, limits the circulation of cryptocurrencies, although some are inconsistent supply. But for those that have a limited supply, then you can understand why the value tends to go up rather than down.
Okay.
It fluctuates, yes,
Yeah.
but it tends to go up. Now, that is one of the contentions that people tend to feel. If they're going up, then why don't we all put our money there?
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
when you consider the fact that, well, all around the world, then there are all these barriers to finance. Not everybody has a bank account. Not everybody has identity. Not everybody has, you know, even the means to really, because they are depending probably on either a child or parent to bring in some form of value in, at the home level.
Yeah.
But when you consider countries like Venezuela or Zimbabwe, which have seen hyperinflation, you're left to wonder then, should I have to carry huge bags of money just to buy basic necessities?
Yeah.
And that's why you can see why a digital currency then that doesn't devalue is so critical. It's not that hyperinflation is the fate of every nation,
Yeah.
but it's wise to consider, what if we just had this alternative?
You're right. And of course, that would free a lot of conversations that are going around, especially between nations.
Yes.
Whether to still keep the dollar as their
Reserve currency.
reserve currency and all that.
Yeah.
That's an interesting conversation, and I hope our viewers are also getting this.
Yeah.
But I've seen a little bit of some things happening, you know, in the crypto world, if I may call it that, because I've seen huge names,
Yeah.
you know, dive in and, you know, leapfrog even the shareholding of such cryptos. I've had a moment when Elon Musk has jumped in. Guys like Bill Gates as well have really highly recommended this kind of things. What is this that they know that we don't know?
Now, it's a very interesting conversation to follow, because in the last 10 years, you've had still some big names calling Bitcoin a bubble, cryptocurrencies a fad, you know, just really dismissing the hype, because I mean, they've been really serious dips in value. I mean, 2017 to 18 was the most infamous price correction of 80%.
Yeah.
All cryptocurrencies dipped, and people thought this thing is over, it's dead, that's done.
Yeah.
You know, and there have been similar dips in the past. Almost every 4 years, there's a major correction. Now, this happens because cryptocurrencies, as at this point in time, tend to behave like shares. that can either rise in value or dip.
Okay.
A lot of them are speculative in the sense that you have these very, very crazy spikes and percentages being seen every other day.
Yeah.
Now that's really there for anyone to do their research, and I encourage, if you hear about a cryptocurrency, please do your research. Please, by all means necessary. You would rather be slow to invest than quick and lose your money, because a lot of people have been duped that way by one group or another telling you you're making daily returns, it's endless gains, no losses and things like that, which if you compare that with traditional finance, honestly, that's hot air, right?
Okay.
So those are some of the myths and upsides, so to speak, in a balanced sense.
Okay.
So I would say that for the likes of Elon Musk, who famously put Bitcoin on his Twitter handle,
Yeah.
there's a lot of interest in terms of what is the future of money, you know, in a future where you don't want inflation tearing away at your profit.
Yeah.
Because whether you live in the US, in Europe, in Asia, in Australia or Africa,
Yeah.
inflation is the one thing you need to be able to see, and it's not short term. Inflation is long term. You could make even $10,000 a year, you can make $100,000 a year. If you're not investing sustainably for the long term, if you're not playing the long game, then you are losing.
Yeah.
There's this famous saying, the famous or not famous,
Yes.
the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Why? One of the reasons is actually inflation. Because as I said, with 1,000 shillings, that 1,000 could last a week for some,
Yeah.
but now it's less than a day.
Okay.
And we're still dealing with the issue of many people living under $1 a day, right?
Yeah.
Now, in the long term, if we consider the impact of inflation, then it should make us consider, if we're not, for instance, especially after COVID-19, gaining alternative means of income, then what are we really doing to not only increase income, but to protect that income from long-term devaluers? Because those ones are there, inflation being one of them, right?
Yeah.
And you can't control the economy. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But as it relates to investing, and when you consider especially the stock market, then that's one of the promises that future value kind of lives there, right? And digital currencies tend to hold that. So I would say for anyone who is considering digital currencies right now,
Okay.
don't jump into it because you had a big name
Yeah.
jumping into that.
Okay.
It is good if that gives you a positive outlook. I would say do your own research as you look at what the future of money is.
Okay.
And what is money? Really bringing this to a close.
Yeah.
It's a unit of account.
Okay.
It's a store of value, and it's a medium of exchange.
Okay.
So as it relates to digital currencies, then they don't fully satisfy the conditions of functionalities of money, which is why you can't just walk into any store and pay with a cryptocurrency, right?
Yeah.
Which is why, like, for Tesla's decision to accept payments for cars in Bitcoin, not every other auto dealer is accepting the same, right? So that's the sense in which these cryptocurrencies haven't been universally accepted. So let's not say that, oh, next year we are all going to be using cryptocurrencies, but over time, the more people understand, then we will see more acceptance. We will see better awareness. Then cryptocurrencies could now morph away from being entirely speculative to more usable for daily usage.
Okay.
Yes, so then again you will move away from it just being a store of value or measure of wealth to it being more user-friendly in the long run for everyday use.
You've said very many things there.
Yes, yes. I know it's usually a bit of a basket of things, but this is where we're heading.
All right.
Yeah.
One of the things you've said is that you cannot just jump in, because actually you preempted my question on whether I should tell any viewer, including myself, that this is the time I need to start investing immediately on the cryptos, but you've said just prior to that, you need to sit back and do some work.
Yes.
So what is that work again?
If you're thinking investing,
yes,
I have a very interesting way of saying it, or rather thinking about it.
Yeah.
When you plant a tree,
Yes.
will that tree be tall tomorrow?
No. It takes time.
Yes.
Yes.
What do you have to do to get that tree to grow?
Keep watering
And
maybe manure or something, pruning, all that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Now with your money,
Yes.
you do not put it in somewhere
Yeah.
and you're expecting it to give you that
Yeah.
immediate return.
Yeah.
You have to do your due diligence in terms of research.
Yeah.
What is the performance? What are the metrics? What are the volumes? Are
Okay.
there any factors that are affecting the performance of this digital currency over time?
Okay.
Okay, because this is where scammers have really capitalized on those gaps in knowledge,
Yeah.
because they gather you up for a presentation.
All
Usually,
right.
and they tell you, or rather they show you that they've done the math for you, so you don't need to do it. Okay?
Okay.
And I'm putting this as practical as possible because a lot of people will get into research about digital currencies, but they'll only take the first three results that they see. Now, if you're investing into a stock, do you do that?
No, you don't.
You want to know the performance culture of this
Absolutely.
company.
You have to
know
do
its
some
management.
research on that.
Just some research, you know, and there are some basics in terms of this that you can't compromise. So if it's your hard-earned money, please respect it.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So it's not just jumping in. You got to do
Yes.
some research on that.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Okay. And by the way, now that you talked about your organization that you work with, do you advise people on that as well?
For remittance services, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Not cryptocurrency investments.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to ask the question of, because somebody may be saying, okay, I think it's time to start thinking about it and I want to buy. Maybe they've done a little bit of research, they've heard about it, they feel, okay, I'm willing to risk something now. How do people where do they start?
All right. So there are basic informational websites.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
like the first is what you call CoinGecko,
Okay.
like Gecko the Gecko, House Gecko.
So that's like a website or what
Yes,
is it?
it's a website. It just tracks. See how a gecko kind of walks up the
Yes.
wall? So it
Yes.
actually tracks which coins are currently performing or which ones have volume. Then
Alright.
there's Coin Market Cap,
Okay.
which basically lists some of the top
Yeah.
cryptocurrencies
Yeah.
for information. Then in terms of actually buying digital currencies themselves, there are several peer-to-peer marketplaces. There's a lot of them on Google Play Store or App Store actually. So
Yeah.
it just depends on which ones are applicable to your country, because some
Okay.
service, for instance, registered in Africa or available in the US and so on and so forth. So if you just do a quick search on the top providers for digital currency exchange services like in Kenya or any other country where our listeners are there, then you will find at least top 3 services, and their apps most likely are available on Play Store. So once you have your Play Store wallet, then you can actually proceed from there. Really, it's not that complicated that you have to look for a person to do it for you. And I would say, please do not have a third party, entity managing your coins, because chances are then you may not have access to them.
Okay.
Because with one difference between cryptocurrencies and shares is that you're not dealing with a broker. And if you try to deal with a broker, please tread with ultimate and utmost caution.
Wow.
Yes.
All right. At least you have your information if you want to get into that.
Yeah.
And we have about 10 minutes or so, and I would like to get into some of the comments we have and the questions.
Sure.
So if you have any questions so far, I think feel free to throw it in now. But now that we've talked about the future and what is happening, there are things that are already happening here and now, including yesterday I met one of the ladies in the panelists who said that if I go to Nyeri, at her Betty's place, that was the name,
Yes.
people are buying Nyam Chom with Bitcoin.
Yes.
And I was like, it's already happening here.
Yes.
I don't know. So what's your comment on that? Yes. And is it already ingrained already, or are we on the rise? What is it?
All right. We are, allow me to say we're in the very early baby stages.
Baby stages.
And I say baby steps.
Yes.
Because I can't authoritatively or definitively say that we have like 100,000 or 1 million Kenyans already using this, trading every day. No. Reason simply being because the central bank did issue a cautionary notice on cryptocurrencies. Simply because, when you have cases whereby people have lost money and things like that, there is no formal protection for that, right?
Okay.
So the cautionary note does mean that if you are dealing or handling digital currencies, it is at your own risk. And that, of course, that makes it definitely a high risk, which is a fact, which is really out in the public, right? But in the case of Betty, then you'll find that she not only accepts digital currencies for payments in food, it's that she also educates the public.
The public about
okay?
them. Yes.
Because as she did share her story at yesterday's session, it's that both young and old people are interested, like, is Bitcoin food?
Yes.
Or is it currency? Because it's, you know, you've put Bitcoin at a restaurant.
Yeah.
So I would expect naturally that this is maybe on the menu, right?
Yeah,
so
nipatie Bitcoin nikule. I had
there
that
you
statement.
go. Yes. And you find that this is a matter of basic awareness and education.
Yeah.
So over time, it's that the more people understand, then it will be an option. It will be an alternative. But, well, for Kenya, I say we have lots of payment gateways and options that we can use aside from M-Pesa, really, because Kenya, I think we have really been, you know, we've really been on the good side of things when it comes to financial payments. So this is really to appreciate every major financial service provider who has made it easy for us as Kenyans to just carry our mobile phones and not think about cash.
I know what?
You know, yeah. So for Betty, I really applaud her efforts and her work in terms of just educating the public, because such education is necessary in even the elderly being able not to be scammed when now the scammers are capitalizing on the gaps in knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah, because the truth is that if we don't know the basics, scammers will teach us.
They'll teach us, right?
But steal from us.
All right. And many thanks to our viewers. I just wanted to jump into the comments because we have very few minutes now left.
Yeah.
And a big shout out to Abdi Hussein, who has been watching. In fact, he says we should not even call this digital finance. We should call it decentralized finance. I think that's it, because indeed, even from your conversation, we're talking no longer about just the central bank, but now different ways of really decentralizing the finances we're talking about. Thanks for that, Abdi. And then he asked something that already preempted a question I wanted to ask here. And he says this, it's a little bit of a mouthful here. He says that the government of Nigeria tried to ban Bitcoin. Now the value of one Bitcoin in Nigeria is $80,000. Whereas here, I think he's watching from the US, whereas here in the US, it's only $51,000 at the time of writing this. I fear the Kenyan government, may fall in the same trap and deny the citizens of creating its, wealth. So I think if I may add to that question, so you can comment on that. Why are we slow in the uptake? Why is the central bank so cautionary about this? And what's your comment on what Abdi said?
All right. So speaking to Abdi and many who are wondering about that, we can look at or consider the emergence of central bank digital currencies. Now, with central bank digital currencies, there are about, give or take, 5 countries either researching or testing what central bank digital currencies could mean for the country, because the fact is that the exposure of blockchain and these cryptocurrencies has given that appetite. The knowledge is out there. It cannot be forgotten. It's too late for that, right?
Yes.
So what, because most central banks around the world, all central banks around the world cannot really regulate cryptocurrencies, it's that they are coming up with something that they can regulate, which is central bank digital currencies. We cannot logically force any government on the planet to regulate cryptocurrencies, right? Because this is a code. Now, it's that which government, let's say, on the planet regulated the distribution of internet?
None.
Which one? Tell me.
None.
Which government on the planet regulated the creation of, all these apps that we have on Play Store or App Store?
None at all. I think they are now catching up.
They're now catching up, because we can listen into the antitrust hearings against some of the internet giants that are already in existence, right? So because we can't exactly or logically force central banks to do that, it just needs to, there's just a need for what I would say a regulatory safe haven, in the sense that if, for instance, some countries have accepted cryptocurrencies or some digital currencies as forms of payment, then allow people to use that for payment. If some countries have recognized them as securities, then they can be used as securities, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
these regulations are more of safe havens for people to transact rather than outright banning.
All right.
Yeah, so we can't really force governments to regulate these cryptos. It just comes back to awareness. We ourselves need to know how to use them, when to use them, and really just coming up with guidelines.
So would I be right to say that there are people who, out of the speculative buyers, if I may call that, who are now celebrating all the way to the bank because of the values that have gone up? Because I must confess, the first time I heard about Bitcoin, it's quite not long ago, but some years back, and I looked at the person who was telling me and I thought, what are you telling me? But right now, when I hear the price, if I want to buy one,
Yes.
I don't even want to talk about it because
It's okay. I know. It's. I mean, a lot of people, even myself in your shoes. The first time I heard about Bitcoin was in 2016.
Okay.
And I thought it was too complicated. So it was a learning curve for me too. So really, no pressure for anyone who's listening today. Like, don't look at the price. I say look at the percentages.
Okay.
Yes.
So Abdi is so active here. He's talking about that, just convert 1% of your savings to Bitcoin. Hold it as long as possible. Thank me later. What principle is this?
1%. Now, the conservative measure, I think, if I am right on this, I stand to be corrected.
Yes.
Tesla's recent decision to buy $1.5 billion in Bitcoin was give or take 7% of their cash holding.
Yeah.
Now, that 7% may seem too big or too small for some, but really, if you have less than 10% in crypto and other percentages in other, whether stocks or bonds or other instruments, it's just part of a healthier financial strategy because, well, we do say we don't put all your eggs in one basket. So financial literacy is at the foundation of this. If you don't have any financial literacy, please freeze everything.
Yes.
Go get yourself some financial literacy.
Okay.
If you must go and leave, but just get some financial awareness. Do not assume anything about investments.
All right.
Yeah.
I have a person, Leah Elisaba, says the good insights about Bitcoin. I will shine off from it. Now I'll try and research more about it. I think that's a good place to start, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. That's the healthiest place to start.
Yeah.
Because in spite of everything you may have had, there's a need to get to a place where you don't just hear what everyone else has said and you don't have your own thoughts about it.
Okay.
If you had it was good, if you had it was used to finance terrorism, no, because, well, Bitcoin is now traceable, right? And the fact that it's transparent in that way means that it's not in your interest as a criminal to use it, right? Because you will be traced and found out. And in fact, if you Google some of the, the top criminal activities that have been either traced or prosecuted, because those entities did use Bitcoin, then it's out in the public for you to see.
Okay.
So even for regulators, I'd say don't worry about this as a money laundering instrument, really. There are other digital currencies which have maybe higher levels of privacy than Bitcoin itself.
Okay.
And those are the ones that maybe they might have to worry about. But really, as much as the laws are in place, it's just a matter of adoption with time. Okay. So no need to rush, no need to hype, no need to feel like you've been left out. Just start with your research and learn at your own pace.
All right.
Yeah, don't be made to feel like you're a fool in the 80s or ancient.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would want to end this conversation because, we have a whole set of panelists today waiting for this particular session. As I said, there's a whole summit on Africa Digital Finance happening. But I want to end it by, putting you on the spot. And I'll ask you this. Have you personally invested and how has it been for you?
Well,